Here's a man that needs no introduction, although he wants one desperately. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bob Sluys, and what I said is welcome to another episode of Naked Lunch. With us today, the illustrious Big Al Jensen. Are you ready to get naked? Second.
Wait a minute.
That's a good look.
Your production assistant didn't say anything about that, so I'm wearing a G-string. I hope that's okay.
Well, as long as you keep your camera angle the way it is, I think we should be okay.
Up, huh?
Yeah. By the way, do you like our slogan? Are you ready to get naked?
Are you? You know what? I have
the catchphrase.
I have used that slogan a time or two in my life. It's never worked for me, but I've asked that question.
I can imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I've got good news and bad news. What would you like to hear first?
Good news and bad news. Give me the good news first, because I'm jonesing for some good news.
The good news is you don't have to get naked.
That's
right.
That's really
good news for everyone involved.
What's the bad news?
The bad news is there is no lunch. So the whole naked lunch thing. Yeah, I know.
What?
No lunch. So
I was told there would be lunch.
There will be lunch later on. By the way, a special friend of ours just dropped by. Hooters. Anyway, Hootie says hi. He doesn't talk much. Thanks for stopping by, Hootie.
Yeah, he doesn't. He thinks a lot, but he never really talks.
Doesn't say much. So let's cut to the chase.
Okay.
We're a year into this quarantine. We're going to joke around, but the fact is, how are you doing?
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it was easy, piece of cake. I mean, there's been some good components to it. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
It's tough, man. I mean, we're a species that needs connection. We need to get together.
Yep.
We need to shake hands. We need to hug. We need to high five. We need to sit down and break bread together. And that's. We haven't been able to do that for a year now. So, that's tough. And it's, there's no getting around that. You can't, anybody who says that it's a piece of cake, it's easy, they're lying. So, that's tough. But, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just praying it's not a train coming right at me.
I know. Yeah, it looks like things are going to, we both live in Vegas, obviously, and the town's opening up a little bit, better occupancy for going out and seeing friends play. So many of my friends are musicians, and they've been dying, trying to scratch out unemployment, nowhere to play, doing Zooms, live streaming things where they're separated by plastic. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same. You're absolutely right.
But now, a lot of your business is done in your coaching business using Zoom the past year. So in a way, it sort of forced you to...
Now it is. Before, it wasn't. I mean, up until March, I don't know, what was it, 10th, 12th, 15th, something like that, we had we still have an actual office/studio here in fabulous Las Vegas where we would meet with our clients and we would have them speak on stage and we could record them and we could do audios and videos and we could do coaching sessions. And it's a nice little studio that seats about 30 people. And then, bam, just like that, you're not allowed to meet in person. So we've kept the facility, but we haven't been able to do it. So a year ago, we had a choice: either just curl up in the fetal position and just
which I did, by the way.
And I do that on a regular basis anyhow. But the point is, we could either do that from a business perspective, or we can use this tool. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the World Wide Interweb. Al Gore invented it a few weeks ago.
He did.
And so in any event, they got this thing now where you can. It's called the Zoom. And you can push some buttons, and you got to have a camera and a microphone, and then you can it's like you're in the same room with them, but they're not in the same room. They're on a computer screen in your room, and you can have dialogue back and forth. So
wait a minute. This sounds strangely familiar. What you're describing right now. In essence, that's what we're doing.
So you've heard of it?
I've heard of it.
So we kind of what they call pivoted, and instead of going this direction right towards the cliff, we turned and we said, okay, Zoom, let's try that out. And for the last year, we have been serving our clients via Zoom. And, it used to be we just had clients from Las Vegas and the occasional person who would come in every now and again and want to do a coaching session. But now we've got clients not only in Las Vegas, but throughout California and Texas and Colorado and North Carolina. And we've got a client in where's that place where where Dracula's from.
Transylvania.
Transylvania.
Seriously.
We got a client who's from Transylvania. That's in Romania, by the way.
Yep.
And then we got a guy from England, somebody from Spain, Italy. So we got some European clients. And that's the power of this new worldwide interweb thing. Thank you, Al Gore, by the way. That we can actually, connect and communicate and work with them. So there you go.
Well, that's a great explanation, and I'll bet that gal in Romania is really sinking her teeth into what you have to offer. And what? No? Okay, I couldn't resist.
I wish I would have thought of that.
Oh, no, I wrote it for you. By the way, everyone,
let me write this down.
Write it down. Now, Big Al is not known for being the most fashionable guy, but you can't really blame him for the wall color of his studio there. That's his green screen, because most of his business is done on Zoom, which allows for a green screen. My technology setup only allows for a pantry and a fridge back there somewhere, and so I don't utilize that technology. So normally he would make it look like he was laying on some beach somewhere drinking pina coladas, but the fact is he is in his home studio with the green screen, so it looks good.
Drinking the Gatorade Zero.
I've never heard of that. What's the story with that?
It's Gatorade, but there's nothing in it, so there's like no calories.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's my diet plan right there.
Sounds delish. Is it working? You've told me you've dropped a couple pounds. That's good, right?
Yeah, a couple. But then I wander around and then I find them again. So if I just like walk by a donut shop, I gain like 3 pounds.
Dude, the other night I went out for dinner. I ate a 7-ounce steak and I gained 4 pounds, right?
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I once lost 12 pounds all at once. Instantly, I dropped my wallet in London.
Okay. 12 pounds. That's amazing.
Thank you very much. And 4 shillings. Okay.
I tried, this whole exercise thing, I tried it.
Did you?
I tried jogging. I did.
I
tried jogging, but I had to quit because it made my beer foam up.
Oh!
Yeah.
I need a little rim shot thing here.
Then I tried jogging backwards.
Right.
I gained weight.
Oh.
So now I just wear ankle weights when I go to bed.
Oh.
Because I could roll over, burn a calorie. It could happen.
Right.
Conceivably.
By the way, Big Al, also,
yes.
I'm telling the folks a little bit of background about you. Not only is he a speech coach. By the way, I don't know if anyone watching this is tracking how many times I've said and right? That's verboten. Public
37,
speakers.
But who's counting?
No one's counting. In fact, when you go to one of those public speaker coaching sessions, they actually have someone there that keeps tab, right? They have, what do they call that guy that marks down the
stutter counter? Yeah.
The stutter utter. It's kind of
stutter utter counter.
Kind of what I'm doing now.
No. Actually, we at Next Stage Communications, we don't do that. There's another place out there where they make toast for you. They count your ahs and your ums. But as long as it's not every other word, no big deal. I mean, we all say we all say so not a big deal.
You know, what's interesting is this past year or so, not only with the pandemic and the politics, the election going on, you'd watch, like, for example, CNN, Anderson Cooper. That guy cannot string 2 words together, right? And he's making $10 million a year hosting the primetime show. His mom's fan. He's Anderson Cooper, and he's and I'm going, gee, I can do this.
Yeah, and then you listen to the people that he's interviewing.
Even worse. Right?
It's embarrassing.
I mean, for people that are in a position, so I can imagine the potential for someone like you to coach your students all over the world, and you can use those clips. In fact, you might even want to grab little clips of these guys, these top of the profession people, stumbling and fumbling and bumbling and mumbling, and say, hey, if you really want to raise the bar and take your game up a couple more notches, sign up for our classes, and we can take you to, maybe improve upon that. Obviously, everyone, you can tell I'm a graduate of the Big Al Jensen, my PhD.
We help you take your communications to the next stage, not a couple of levels, because our business is called Next Stage Communications.
Okay, good.
But that's another story. But hey, and now I'm not trying to defend these people because they ought to be a lot better. But think back a few years when both you and I hosted an internet television show. When you're on TV, I mean, when the cameras are on and you're live and you gotta go, that's a ton of pressure.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you're going to say and you're going to slip a little bit and it's not going to be perfect. So those guys work under great stress.
Yeah.
I mean, they got time things they have to deal with, and they got competing issues. This guy is for abortion. This person's against AR-15.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're always trying to hold people's feet to the fire while they're automatically fact-checking them. And then they got people talking in this ear, people talking in that ear. So cut them a little bit of slack, because that's a tough job being live on TV.
Fair enough, yeah. But you would have to admit that the really good ones have a bag of tricks. They have techniques, things they can go to, standbys, questions. Larry King never seemed to be stumped. He would basically ask a question, and based on what the answer was from his guest, that would really almost write his next question. So
yeah, absolutely. And
linear.
we did this radio thing, last decade maybe. It's been a while ago, but we had to interview people live on the air, like that Larry King guy that you're talking about, except we didn't have cameras. Well, sometimes we had cameras in the studio, but it was a radio show and it was live. So we know all about that, taking the questions, taking the answers that you get from the people, and then generating spin-off questions from that. So You're absolutely right, man. You've done this before.
Well, and then what's cool, yeah, exactly. And that was a fun show we had, by the way. The Blithering Idiot Show is probably archived somewhere, probably not, actually, now that I think about it. But
the FCC has burned that, and
it is no longer available.
And threatened me with all sorts of legal issues if we ever show any of that again. But that was a fun show.
It was a fun show. So there are interviews that are conversational, but there are also interviews. For example, did you catch any of the Oprah with the Royals? What were your thoughts on that? Did you see that by any chance?
So, yes, I did not. Yeah, I don't care about the Royals. I mean, I know some people do, but I mean, you make several $1 million a year for doing nothing but putting on these jackets that got epaulets and all these
epilepsy. What?
Decorative things.
Oh, I can't do it.
And then the girls, they got to wear these hats, and then they have to walk in such, and they get paid like millions of dollars a year for that. It might as well be a Kardashian, for God's sakes. I mean, you have no marketable skills. Yet you're on TV and everybody's looking at you, and I don't get it, and I'm not going to support that because come on, have a skill, people. Make something worthwhile.
But you know what's funny about that is I agree with that 100%. Especially being a lifelong musician, there's people out there that are famous, they have hit songs, or millionaires, and they couldn't without auto-tune or whatever. So Kardashians have gotten famous and rich for basically nothing. Sort of like the Seinfeld show.
Yeah,
hey, before we continue
nothing.
on, sorry to interrupt you, but before we continue on, I need to have you move your camera angle a little bit, and I'll tell you why later. And I'll edit this part out. Not really. I'm going to leave this in to show that this is real gorilla. There we go. Perfect. Okay, not quite. A little more, a little bit more. The other way. Nope, go back the other way. Oh, perfect, just like that. Okay, now you cheated on me. Now go back a little bit. See, this is the map. We are showing you, look at that. This is beautiful, just like that. That's perfect. This is the behind-the-scenes look at how a show is produced, the latest technology.
But I got a cable that's in the way. I should probably move that cable out.
Oh, no, it's going to be gone. I'm going to crop that out. And the folks aren't going to see any of this.
Okay. Yeah. They're not going to see the show at all. So, I mean, there's going to be an audience of two. That's you and me.
You'd be surprised,
My lawyer.
My lawyer. Yeah. Here's the thing about lawyers. If someone has a lawyer, that's never a good thing. If you think about it, you only need a lawyer if you have issues or litigation right? Don't you want to go throughout life without having to deal with lawyers?
I would love to, but I got a team of lawyers on retainer because I'm frankly an idiot. I mean, I do such stupid crap.
Tell us. We want to know about it. Come on.
My God, what come on a show like this. I'm sure somebody will sue me for this.
There's some copyright issues, but we'll talk about that here in a little while. But
so there's no doubt, like within the next 72 hours, I will have a service guy at the door that says, "Here, you've been sued," and hand me papers, and I'll call the lawyers and say, "Okay, guys, get me out of this." Okay,
so let me ask you,
go ahead.
Who's your local? Because I had a lawyer. I had a legal thing some years ago, and by the way, about a month ago in the paper, it announced that this gentleman, this lawyer that had represented me, had passed away. And you know what, Al? I felt no remorse. I did this little happy dance, and and I know that I shouldn't say that. That's not very, but that's just how I felt.
Well, most lawyers are people, so I mean, you got to give them a little bit, but not all of them, but some of them are. So, what was your question again?
So on your legal type things, do you have a preferred? I'm sure you have your team of 5 or 10 top lawyers in town. Do you use the heavy hitter? Do you use that guy with the billboard by the airport that wins all the awards? Who do you prefer?
No, Ed. I like Ed.
Ed. Call Ed. Just enough said. Enough said. Call Ed.
Said? Just call Ed. Yeah.
People come up to me sometimes and go, "Hey Ed, can you represent me?" They think I'm because we got sort of the same haircut.
So I do use Ed, and then I got another guy.
Really? You really use Ed?
I use Ed, and then I got another guy who's up in Utah. What's that little town up there in Utah?
St. George.
St. George. He's in St. George. His name is Jinx. That's literally his name, Jinx. And he's a literal lawyer, and he handles some of the stuff for me as well. Jinx. I'm not going to say his last name because I'm sure somebody's for that.
Actually, I know who you're talking about because recently he handled. There's a famous celebrity couple here in town that had a show for years, and he handled their divorce. Donnie and Marie, they got divorced, and I think Jinx handled that because they're of the Mormon persuasion.
Exactly. So anyhow, Ed and Jinx, those are my two go-tos. I mean, there's others. There's others, but
what do you have, like some IRS issues? What do you got going on, Al? What do you want to tell everyone? Since only two of us are watching this, go ahead. You can tell me
everything. I mean, I got ex-wives that are trying to track me down. That's why I live under an assumed name. You
mean your parents didn't name you Big? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and I live in a hut up in North Las Vegas underneath an overpass.
Is that right?
So there's that, and then of course the IRS, they're always after me.
You're after everybody.
And then there's clients, and then people that I run into on the street. I mean, literally run into on the street.
I know.
So there's all sorts of stuff. So you got to have a team of lawyers. Now, whatever brought this up? What's the purpose of lawyer talk?
Oh, I have no idea, but. As we agreed to, the beauty of being on Naked Lunch is it's a show that flows, and we go with the flow.
Well, let me know when that flow starts. Okay.
Well, it should happen in about 20 minutes. I had Burger King, and I'm starting to feel a little flow right about now. No, but seriously, being prepared, having a script, being organized, that's not fun, right?
Nah.
Okay, so let me ask you something. A lot of the people don't know. But in addition to all the coaching you did, you also back in the day were a stand-up comedian and you did a lot of magic, right? So tell us a little bit about that because I have a few questions for you.
So when I moved to Vegas in 2005, I literally had nothing to do other than gamble. I mean, play poker and play craps and go to the casinos and just And that gets old after a while. I mean, after 7 or 8 years, I mean, it gets old. So you got to find something else to do. So. Somebody asked me if I would come in and do a magic show in their first grade classroom. So I said, I got nothing else to do on Tuesday at 3. So I'll come in, I'll do a show. And that led to doing another show, which led to doing another show, which led to doing kids shows on the weekend, which led to a nightclub show and then a theater show and then something pretty regular over the Cube Theater, and then I did a couple of shows on some cruise ships. And it's just one thing leads to another. And when people see you and say, hey, would you come do a bit for this or come appear here? I got nothing else to do. So, sure, I'll do it. And I had a thing called the Magic Al Experience.
Really? Tell us about that.
It was a 75-minute comedy magic show. And people would always ask, Al, how do we tell the difference between the comedy and the magic? And I said, well, very easily. If it's not funny, it was magic.
Right.
So that was the way to tell. And it was fun. And I made a buck or two. And I really did it for the girls because, I mean, the girls, they would just, I mean, like because, I mean, you're a bass player and you get all the girls. And when you're a comedy magician, you literally get like 1 or 2 in a year that will like throw themselves at you. So that was my primary motivation.
And we're going to continue with that, but I have to share. A while back, I actually dated a gal that claimed to be a magician. Right?
Really?
Yeah. No, seriously. And I didn't really believe her. Right? I mean, And so one day we were driving along, and she put her hand on my knee, and I turned into a motel. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Who writes your material anyhow?
Well, I do, but
Yeah.
turned into a motel. Now you could use that if you ever get back on stage.
So when I was young, I mean, I got the magic bug when I was young. In fact, I practiced throughout my my adolescent years. In fact, I practiced that sawing a woman in half trick.
Really?
I practiced that a lot. And in fact, I had 7 half sisters. So there's always that.
I got to make sure you don't do a punchline while I'm
Yeah, while you're
imbibing. By the way, pure vodka. That's the only way I can make it through these shows, you know. But
pure Gatorade Zero. Yeah, I hear you.
so what does something like that cost these days? Because I don't drink that kind of stuff. Whatever.
It's a buck a bottle. It's a 32-ounce bottle. So I go through one of those a day.
Okay.
It keeps my electrolytes in balance.
Oh, electrolytes in balance.
It's got that electrolyte stuff in there: the potassium, the magnesium, the calcium, and all that stuff.
So back in October, one day I was just so fed up with the whole Rona and the election coming up, and threw an airbag, a sleeping bag, an air mattress, a cooler, some clothes, threw it in my rig. Just started driving, and I drove all the way from Vegas to Maine and back 6,400. Yeah, 6,408 miles, and I passed right through your hometown, your home state. Tell us about it.
Oh well, so I was born, as a lot of people know, in Central America.
Central America, do tell.
Yeah, Iowa, for those of you not familiar.
Which is where I drove through. Yep.
So I grew up in a little town, on a farm just outside a tiny little town. In the politically incorrectly named town of Dike, Iowa. It was D-I-K-E, not D-Y-K-E. So
really? I did not know that.
And so I was on a farm outside of Dike, Iowa. Now, Dike, Iowa had, at that point in time, about 865 residents. That was the population. If it was on Hee Haw, they'd go, salute.
Right.
It was just a tiny little town. And I was on a farm 2 miles outside of Dike, and it was 10 minutes to the next big town, which was Waterloo, which had 100,000 people. Man, that's a big town.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was boring as hell. I mean, all we did for fun was sit around, watch the grass grow, watch the paint peel. You know, it was there's not much to do in Northeast Iowa. So, but it was a great place to be from. Did you corn or snow or maybe a tractor? That's great.
But it snowed on me. I pulled over into a truck stop in Iowa and to get some gas, and it started snowing. Okay, so I can relate. So how do you pluck a chicken? How do you there must be thousands of feathers. That must take forever. How do you pluck? Have you ever plucked a chicken?
Yeah, I plucked a chicken. It's no fun. You know, it's a lot of work. But, you know, we had 15,000 chickens on our farm.
Whoa!
Yeah. We had 15,000 chickens on the farm, and they were laying hens. We had the chickens to produce eggs.
You're making Hootie nervous here. Anyway.
Hootie, that's right.
Sorry.
So, you know, I picked... there's 3 things that chickens do on a daily basis. Number 1... they eat and drink. Number 2, they lay eggs, and number 3 is number 2. So they do a lot of that.
Wow.
And 365 days a year, we gathered eggs, and we scooped number 2. And so we had a little crop farm, and we had 15,000 chickens, and it was a great place to be from.
You miss those days, don't you, Al?
Like I miss hemorrhoids, I tell you.
And so in high school, I remember you telling me that, because we both grew up as trumpet players.
Yes.
And you were one of the, when I played, I was a really good reader. I'm a strong reader and a part player. But you were the guy that played those notes that dogs would start barking, right? Just a high notes, a screaming. Bill Chase and Maynard Ferguson and Maynard G. Krebs and Doc Severinsen and all those kinds of guys, right? That you grew up idolizing. And so what happened? Did that sort of peter out, or what happened with
Ellis? Don Ellis. He was another good one.
Yeah, Don Ellis. You bet.
I don't know. I just somehow I got into it, and I blame it on my mother, because she says, if we're going to spend $35 on a used trumpet for you, by God, you're going to practice that thing every single day.
$35.
And I did. You know, actually the first trumpet. Well, it was a cornet, which is like a poor man's shrunk up trumpet.
Yep.
And they found one in the want ad. Somebody wanted $50 for it, but they offered 35. And so that was my first trumpet, and I had that for a couple of years. And then the music instructor called my parents up and says, "Hey, listen, your kid, he's actually not too bad. You think you could muscle up another, $50, $75 and get him like a real trumpet?" So we went without food for like 6 months, and then
we had chicken. You could, add chicken and eggs.
Chicken, yeah, we had chickens and eggs. But we went to, so anyhow, they got me a trumpet. They got me a Benge trumpet, which was a pretty doggone good trumpet. It was actually silver.
Yeah.
And then they took me to the University of Northern Iowa and got me hooked up with some trumpet professor there. And I took 5 years of trumpet lessons from this guy. Twice a week, I'd go in like Monday and Thursday and take lessons with this guy. And he helped me figure out how to develop the chops to play those, stratospheric notes. And it was pretty cool. So that's, I was, to answer your question, I did play trumpet and became, pretty reasonably good during those 5 years of junior and high school.
That's a great story. Have you ever seen Tulips from Holland?
Tulips from Holland.
This is my Mick Jagger impersonation. Oh, that's Mick Jagger. Look what I have here, Al.
I thought it was Tulips on your organ. That's not a trumpet. That's a flugelhorn.
Watch this.
That's a Chuck Mangione.
We're going to play Name That Tune, okay?
Okay, let's play Name That Tune. Is that Spanish Flea?
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Name that tune on Naked Lunch. Let's do another one. That's very good. Al, one for one. Hi, my name is Alec Trebek, and we're playing Name That Tune. Okay.
That's probably the only one I'll get.
This is a theme song for a TV show that you'll never get.
Okay. That's F true.
Yes, F true played terribly. That was terrible. Okay, you're 2 for 2. How does he do it, folks? Name that tune on Naked Lunch. We're going to do a couple more here. Marsha.
Yeah, Marsha. That's what I was trying to think. Marsha. That's the Brady Bunch.
Ding, 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 bing, 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 bing. 3 for 3. Well, I don't have a prize to give you. We'll have to get my producer will get your address and we'll send you a little something. That was well done. Big Al Jensen, ladies and gentlemen, playing Name That Tune right here on the Naked Lunch. Actually, those are the only 3 I know. But I was thinking of putting a little.
You could have done Feel So Good. Feel So Good.
Watch this. I can't play it in the right octave.
Use that.
What?
Drain the spit valve. You're getting a little.
That was nice, wasn't it? Nice tone, nice range. I'm pulling A's out of the air, out of the stratosphere.
You had gurgling in there.
No, I think it's that flow you were talking about earlier. I'm going to play another Chuck Mangione song, and you'll never get this one.
Oh, I know that. That's not from the Man of La Mancha, is it? Because Chuck Mangione did that.
He did do that. That was called Land of Make Believe.
I knew that.
And
I didn't remember it, but I knew that.
You know what? I was in a band once, Betty Martin and the LA Disco Band, circa 1980. I was just switched over to bass because, I used to play. I traveled with Roy Clark at age 17 playing trumpet. Roy Clark, Pickin' and Grinnin', Hee-Haw, was on the road with him, right?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, here comes the portion of the show when no one will understand or remember these references. Roy Clark, who the hell is Roy Clark?
You know what's funny about him? These kids nowadays, believe it or not, they're all listening to old psychedelic music from the 60s. You know why? Because it's better than this crap that whatever's out there now. Am I right about that? Yes, I am. Anyway, so in the band, we did Land of Make Believe. Well, I was the horn guy, but I was the bass guy. So here's what I did. I had my bass strapped on. I'd go don 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 don. I'd hammer on the notes. Don 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 don. I'd play both parts. Talk about your chicks, dude. That was the chick magnet. Anyway.
Yeah, that had to attract the chicks, and I bet you probably got double pay for that. Did you make like $50 a week then, or what?
That's funny. I made $75 a week on tour with Roy Clark. Roy Clark.
Are you serious? $75 a week.
We did Madison Square Garden. We played Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. We played
Has
York
the statute of limitations run out on
I
your
hope not,
1978 tax return? I mean,
I'm going to look
if the
into.
IRS hears this, they're going to go back and check.
They're going to check with him, man. I'll tell you what. Talk about exploitation. But,
yeah. So Roy Clark. I mean, what a hee-haw guy that is, huh? I mean, really.
Yep. Well, Big Al, the big hand and the small hand, and I know you have a 4 o'clock. Is there anything in closing that you want to maybe? By the way, I'm going to put up your web information. I'll put a little graphic there if people want to get a hold of you.
Okay. All right. I'll be interested to see what that is.
You should get a website, by the way, if you know.
Yeah. I'm going to call Al Gore and see if he can hook me up.
Is he still around? Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. I think he's, I don't know. Is he still doing the global warming thing?
The global warming, and he didn't run for office, which 20 years ago, he didn't run either, the way it turned out.
Yeah, yeah.
But not to go into politics here, but, I think we're all breathing a sigh of relief right now. But we're also, maybe not all, everyone has their own, positions, but we're also a little apprehensive. There's some things that just don't maybe seem to be going the way you'd like to have our country. So if we're going to be serious for a minute here.
Okay, let's be serious for a minute. Let me set the timer.
Just for a minute.
Okay.
We always talk about hope for the future. And how hopeful are you these days, just in general, with the politics, religion, pandemic, social upheaval, all these things sort of culminating? How are you feeling about that?
I think we as a human, we got to maintain hope. I mean, what else is there? We can hope for better days, and the things that's been happening with these AR-15 automatic weapons and stuff just like 2 this week.
Amazing.
Some wackos have pulled out their AR-15 and started mowing people down, and that's frustrating. There's a lot of frustrating stuff, but. I'm sure that there's been times in our history, in the history of man, that things have been tough, things have been bad, and we got to maintain hope. And while our new administration, I think, is doing some things that are better than the previous administration, they're not perfect. They still got some problems to deal with and some issues to deal with, and all we can have is hope that they're going to be sincere and try to work and try to make a better environment. I mean, one thing that leads me to know that there's some hope is what's happened with this whole coronavirus thing. Because I mean, 6 months ago it was like pretty dark and pretty dank, and like where's the end of the tunnel?
Yeah.
And there was like nothing on the horizon. And now over the last few months, we've got some vaccines, and some of the numbers and the ratios and percentages have been coming down, and now we can actually maybe get out of the house a little bit. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm hopeful that something good is happening there. But I mean, still, down at our southern border, there's still lots of issues down there. So that's problematic. And, we would have hoped that a new administration would have just come in and made everything perfect overnight. Yeah, that's not realistic.
Yep.
And, we're still going to have to deal with problems and issues. But yeah, I got hope that things will work out. And if I didn't, then it'd be a really sad day for our kids and our grandkids. So I got to maintain hope.
Yeah, excellent. Well said. And that's, like you said, what else is there? The other alternative is, in closing, by the way, have you gotten your COVID shot yet?
As a matter of fact, I got my first COVID shot 20 days ago, and tomorrow I go in for my second and final Pfizer coronavirus shot. So yeah, I'm getting the second vaccine tomorrow, and then I'll be all vaccinated up and hopefully able to maybe get out and about just a little bit more. So yeah, I've done that.
Good. Yeah, I went a few weeks ago, and I had to game the system a little bit, but they were actually at the end of some days throwing that stuff away because they have to keep it a certain, And so I went there. And so I got my first shot, and the doctor goes, "You might still catch the coronavirus, but you're not getting rabies. I guarantee that." So,
and you're not gonna. It's not like gonna take a toll. I mean, it won't be nearly as bad if you get it. The likelihood of getting so sick you got to the hospital or die from it, is reduced to almost nothing. Of course, even without the vaccine, the likelihood of dying is pretty small.
Yeah.
All right. The percentage of people who actually die from it is small, but I know some people who have had it and are still dealing with the consequences. I mean, there are in some people some long-term heart consequences, lung consequences, and I mean, a guy that we probably both know, who's a guitar player here in town, who made his living for years and years and years playing guitar gigs as a solo acoustic guitar player. He caught the Rona last summer, and he is still paying the price today. I mean, he's still got lung capacity issues and heart issues and taste issues. So some people pay a long-term price. So if we can find this vaccine and get it in enough people that it minimizes the likelihood of people getting really sick and or dying from it, that's a good thing. So get out there and get vaccinated, everybody.
Big Al Jensen, I couldn't have said it better myself. In closing here, I want to say goodbye. Thank you so much. We'll get your information on the screen, and we're going to play one final Name That Tune as we sort of fade out and tie this thing up. Thanks again for being on. Hootie says thank you, and here we go.
Is that the Beaver? Is that the Beaver song?
It's the Beaver song, ladies and gentlemen. Big Al Jensen. Let's get naked. We'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Get naked and get fun. All right.
You got it.